killings because there's been one too many. But the reason why I got Prof here, Doctor here, was because of Gitmo 2. Let's hear what the Foreign Minister said, and then we start the conversation.
One of the ways or options I was exploring was whether a third country will accept them. Unfortunately, at this moment, our hands are tied. I came to state the facts as they are. The fact of the matter is that these people were accepted into this country. No plans were made post 6 January 2018 for them. The American government, in the agreement, ceases to be a partner to this agreement in terms of the obligations post 6 January. And therefore, we are left with our obligations, and that is to try and integrate them into Ghanaian society, which is what the government then did by granting them refugee status.
So, are the people willing to stay? Has the ministry had any deliberations with them?
This issue, yes, directly has involves the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but there are other ministries that are also dealing with it. The other ministries are in direct contact with the two. We are not. We deal with the foreign policy aspect of it, the foreign relations aspect of it, because it involves another country, which is the United States. But we are in the middle of discussions. These are matters of security, of a security nature, and therefore I don't want to disclose anything. But that is why I left my statement open-ended, and I said that we are still consulting, and we will examine what we get from other agencies. And I think that is key. That is key in coming out. That is key. That needs to come out clearly, that the matter has not been concluded.
Okay, so it's not as if they are staying definitely, and that it's a conclusive decision that they are going to continue to stay in the country.
For now, we are saying that our hands are tied because they have been granted a legal status for them to stay here. Okay. Yes.
No other options for you to extend?
No, we are still.
Well, Dr. Vladimir Enchidanso, security analyst, international. Actually, today, I think today is going to be an international. Well, both. Today, we're going to wear two hats. Security analyst and international relations expert as well. Doc, what's going on?
Quite baffling, extremely baffling. But I'm very happy that the foreign minister spoke very eloquently, very erudite in her submission. And one phrase which keeps ringing said, I give the facts as they are. You know, the whole thing had been shrouded in so much secrecy and so much impunity that at times it's mind-boggling and, very severely, annoying, if you want to use that word. In 2015, I had wind of Ghana trying to acquiesce to American pressure. And if you remember, those who read me, I wrote a very nice article warning the Ghana government and giving some indications that there are several countries that had taken some of the inmates and the problems that those countries had, including Albania. Albania was the one who suffered most. They took about 15, 8 of them ran away. And before they did, and the Albanian society up to now, I think must be really under that kind of insecurity that these 15 brought onto them. Those 8 ran away, and where did they go? They went to Yemen, and they are the center of all the organizational, whatever it is, between the Houthis and the government of Yemen. So I warned then in 2015. Nobody paid heed to my warning. until 2016 when they were brought in. When they were brought in and it blew up, then people started calling me, how did you know? So don't ask me how did I know, but what did we do with my warning? And then we started spewing out all kinds of things. Number one, they are being screened, they are nice people, and oh, now they don't pose any threat. Beautiful. Tell that to the Marines. If they have been screened and they have not been tried as we're being told, and they are nice people could be integrated into any nice society, into an American society. But American senators and congressmen kept warning Obama never even to make the mistake of coming to try them on the mainland. Can you imagine? And yet we said we wanted them. If they have been screened and they pose no threat, let them go back home. I mean, the people were picked from Afghanistan, not from Yemen. What were they doing there? And they were picked from the thick of war. They are innocent. Let's take it for the purpose of argument. If they are innocent, America has friends, very good friends, better than Ghana. Saudi Arabia is there, and they are Arabs. Jordan, and several other countries I could mention. Israel. I mean, why are they not good for Israel but they're good for Ghana? I asked these questions in my subsequent articles. Then we said we took them on compassionate grounds and that we didn't get anything from it. Tell that again to the Marines. It can't be true that in international diplomacy, you get the brunt of somebody's insecurity and you gain nothing. I mean, this is America's security problem. And we said, give that problem to us, your window of vulnerability, give it to me, and I can secure it. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And every time you get government officials and other people staunchly supporting that, oh, Ghana is a member of the international community, and if there is a problem, that problem was not caused by the international community, it was caused by the US. If it was a UN problem, that humanitarian reason, children are dying over here, which country would want to take children, I would understand. But not when one country has caused some insecurity problems for himself. And we are not the kind of satellite states of America and we say, bring those problems to us. Again, we asked a lot of questions. Then we were told that there was no document, and now a document has appeared all of a sudden with clauses that the same people are now quoting to tell us there was an exit plan. Then again, midway somewhere, we saw that it was wrong. They were here illegally. Illegally in the sense that we are not a monist country. A monist country is one where when head of state goes somewhere to sign an agreement, it becomes law. No, we are a dualist country. So then this new government had come. Once they are here already, and the terms of their coming is here, you have accepted them, you can't go back and eat your word. So what we had to do is to ratify. We did ratification. Not knowing, midway in 2016, they had been granted refugee status, changing their status from Gitmo, whatever, to Ghanaian refugees.
Hold on. Let me go to Skype and speak to Justice Srem Sai. Let's see if we can get Justice Srem Sai on. Hello, Justice.
Hello, good evening, Nana.
Good evening, and nice to have you on the show.
Justice, good evening. Thank you very much.
Very good. Justice, 1 minute we are talking about ratification, and then the next minute we are looking at refugee status. Legally, what are we talking about?
Okay, so in respect of ratification, our constitution says, as Doc has already indicated, when our executive branch of government, led by the president, goes out to enter into an agreement with a foreign entity, the constitution says that that agreement should be ratified by parliament by a vote of more than half of MPs voting. Now, so that is ratification. It's as if you are going to enter into an agreement on behalf of your father, but before that agreement will become effective, your father will have to give a blessing agreement to bind it. So basically, that is what the ratification means. Now, this issue of ratification came before the Supreme Court, and I think you remember last year, whether or not it is the nature of agreement that the the Parliament of Ghana were ratified before it taking effect. That is where the challenge is to become international. Now, a country enters into several agreements every day, including buying of goods and services other countries. Now, the question that lawyers have always asked on international law is, as the
Justice, let me drop the line and call you back because it's really crackling, and since it's an education, we need to get a clean line so you can educate us on it. And while we are getting the line back, Doc, we've heard of no security risk and minimal security risk. Which is which? No security risk and minimal security risk.
Why do you trouble when trouble has not troubled you? Whether minimal or no, why do you go for that trouble? The moment you went for it, there are security implications. Let me go for the mundane ones. I mean, let me go for the non-obvious, you know. These people are in our country. They are going to mix with Ghanaian society. They make Ghanaian children. If tomorrow they are vying for presidency, then you tell them that you are children of terrorists, and some fight ensues because one belongs to NDC, the other belongs to NPP. What happens? This is outrageous kind of example I'm giving. But mark it. Terrorists don't come with flags. They have cells. They know how to organize. These people, for heaven's sake, will forever hate America. They will never love America. They will never love the West. 14 years of my life taken away. A decade and beyond taken away. My youth is completely destroyed. My life is completely destroyed. They will never love America without trial. Now, if indeed they were terrorists or they were miscreants, whatever it is, and they have now been screened and watched, brainwashed, can they help other ones to pay the Americans back? Can they be here whilst they are being used by ISIS or any other organization? Can they teach others? Can they be a source of recruitment? There are several ways in which they can be used. There are several ways they can form their own cells over here once they integrate into our society.
But Doc, I mean, Ghana's been a good friend to the world.
Yes.
I mean, I think I always say, you know, during the days of Rawlings, where he was friends with Libya and friends with the West at the same time, I don't even think many countries can boast of that.
Sure.
So if indeed today America has, look, we went into war, got a bunch of people, we may have done things wrong.
Right.
If we leave them on our soil, why? Just take two and help us out.
Nana, I'll be the first to say that having that kind of foreign policy, obviously, is part of one of the pillars of our foreign policy. Good neighbor. Ghana has four main pillars in this foreign policy: Pan-Africanism, good neighborliness, non-alignment, and multilateralism. And that good neighborliness means that the whole world is our neighbor. And we are playing it very well. No two ways about it. I have no quarrel if a friend like America is saying, help us and we help you to this point. But you know, America does not have permanent friends. They have permanent interest. The biggest interest they want is to get these Guantanamo people away. And indeed, relationship with America has been based purely on mutual grounds. What I'm saying is that this time we did it and got ourselves bent, our fingers bent.
Doc,
if we had a good kind of agreement with the Americans, I would have no quarrel at all, absolutely.
Let me go to the phone and speak to Nana Ejewua, who's a lawyer for the plaintiffs of the Gitmo case. Now, Nana, hello and welcome.
Oh, thank you very much, my brother. How are you?
I'm very well, and I'm very grateful to have you on the show. But
the pleasure is mine.
Good. There's this issue that when the case went to court, the court wasn't informed that these guys had already been granted refugee status. I mean, what's your position on that? I think we're all a bit baffled.
Yeah, that is entirely correct. And so it came to me as a surprise when I also heard they've been accorded a refugee status. From the records that were disclosed yesterday by the foreign minister, clearly, at the time they were accorded that status, the case was still pending in court because they were accorded refugee status sometime in July 2016. The case was finally determined or disposed of by the Supreme Court in June 2017. So almost a year, before the case was determined, they were given the refugee status. So clearly, it's a matter that should have been brought to the attention of the court. But they withheld information from the court, which in itself, was very highly unethical. You see, this matter has been a chain of lies. Look, when we made the application to the Supreme Court for them to disclose the agreement, which was vehemently opposed by the Attorney General, particularly the former Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Ayini. And the Supreme Court subsequently held that there was nothing that made the agreement of security moment and therefore should be disclosed to us. When I saw the agreement, it became apparent to me that the people were here to stay. Because clearly, the agreement was to the effect that they should be integrated into the Ghanaian society. So the 2-year period was only an initial period, but they were to be integrated into the Ghanaian society in the long term with certain rights and benefits. And when you look at the agreement, Ghana had no benefit whatsoever under the agreement. So when I saw it, I found it very ridiculous. I wondered the people who had negotiated the agreement for and on behalf of Ghana. But then I knew that the former Deputy Attorney General was part of it because he had said in court that he was part of the people who negotiated the agreement itself. And so I really felt sad that why would Ghana be given such a raw deal? A one-sided agreement, a lopsided agreement. It was so preposterously ridiculous that anybody will enter into such an agreement for and on behalf of Ghana, unless the person was an alien or did not care entirely about the Republic of Ghana. But then we kept quiet because the Supreme Court had said that we should use it just for our case. Okay? And so it wasn't until the foreign minister came out yesterday that some of us then became emboldened that, look, if he has spoken to the nature of the agreement, then we could also speak to it. My brother, it was a poorly negotiated agreement. That day, I formed the opinion that unless we decide to build institutions in this country, we are at the mercy of whoever is the president. If that person is a knowledgeable person, this country will be governed well. If that person is a selfish person, he will seek his personal interest. So then the character and trait of our president will, to a very large extent, determine what the nation becomes or what the nation gets in any transaction.
Nana, let me ask you, Nana, please, let me, if you had known that they had been granted refugee status, would it have changed anything in court?
At least the issue would have come up as to the basis upon which that status was granted to them, because you see, the grant of a refugee status is not an unfettered discretionary power which the minister can exercise. It ought to be on stated grounds which are provided by the Constitution. And therefore, we would have addressed the court on whether or not that those grounds were satisfied. Because, you see, when you look at the issue of the grant of refugees, what you discover is that it is even in countries where, even with countries that have been declared as, quote-unquote, war-torn, where people cannot live and so on and so forth, right? Application for refugee status from such countries are still determined on individual basis, such that some people might even be denied, notwithstanding the default of peace in countries where they are coming from. And so, at least it would have raised further issues which the court would have determined in the circumstance. But it wasn't known. Indeed, when you look at the judgment of the court, when you look at the judgment of court, the court issue was raised as to the basis upon which which they were in this country. And the Chief Justice, indeed, when he read the judgment, said, what is their status in this country? Are they refugees? So it means that the fact that it wasn't brought to the court's attention was pronounced. You know, and that for me was very highly disheartening.
In just 10 seconds, could that be perjury? I mean, lying in court?
They didn't lie. They just withheld information from the court, which is unethical.
Okay.
Yes.
No, thank you so much. Because of time, I'd have loved to listen to you more, but because of time, do you think it will get any murkier than this, or this is it?
It's going to be murkier because people are now asking for the truth. And as Nana said, and as I had said already, you see, a lot of things were held to the chest of the executive. And anytime any of us raised any issue, there was an answer. No, that's not the case. And finally, even, we got to a point where the former finance minister threw in the towel, saying that she didn't know anything. It was a security matter. And then the interior minister, he got a flag for it. I mean, I think he was changed or that kind of thing, because he also came to say that he was not in the know. So a lot of information was withheld from Ghanaians and from experts who would have advised government. More mind-boggling is the very fact of we got nothing from it. And up to now, I cannot think of anything like that in international relations. Everything is mutually beneficial when you talk of diplomacy. And if you enter into an agreement and say, we got nothing, I can't believe that. And if you got nothing, why should the agreement be more skewed against you? It's going to get murkier.
Let me go back on speak to Justice Srim Sai. I hope we have him back on. Hello, Justice.
Hello, Nana.
Well, thank you very much. Can we withdraw this refugee status?
On the face of it, yes, we can withdraw it, because the law that regulates refugees, not just in Ghana, but also internationally, recognizes that there are certain situations where a country cannot be forced to keep persons that are not their citizens within their territory. So on the face of it, we could do that. Now, when we look at the refugee law of Ghana, it gives us certain grounds upon which we may return such a person. But before then, let me just say that international law has a principle called non-refoulement. What it means is that a person who is in another country seeking asylum or seeking a refugee status should not be returned to a country where his security, his life, or integrity will be endangered on the basis of race, color, creed, nationality. So there are so many grounds under international law upon which a person cannot be returned. But generally, everything boils down to one thing: danger to the host country. In our situation, the law, refugee law, says that you may return a person to the country or to wherever, or you may take the person out of the country if the person constitutes a danger to the country. Now, I have listened to the arguments from Dr. Nkidanso and my good friend, the counsel for the plaintiffs in the case. I get the impression that they are convinced, as a matter of fact, that the persons who are in this country actually constitute some form of danger. Well, but let me mention that there is a properly constituted, body in this country which is empowered to determine whether a person who is an alien constitutes a danger to this country and who may be returned to wherever. Now, I believe that body or the persons on that body have worked and have determined whether these guys are indeed a danger. Now, the fact that they were granted a status, and we can assume to or presume to that those individuals have met the requirements or have met the test of remaining in this country. Now, if we, my worry is that when we sit on radio and we sit on air and we make certain pronouncements to the effect that there are certain people who are in this country are so dangerous that they may become threats in the future, that their children who are yet, unborn children will become president, and I think we should be very careful, and we should manage the way we address some of these issues, because in as much as these people are refugees, they have rights, not just in Ghana, but also under international law. And if we would sit without much evidence, without much conviction, without anything to show, and we try to make it look as if those who are empowered or those who have the power to determine whether these guys are a danger to the country are not doing their work and we can do our work, then we must be very careful about that. Now, going forward, the question is whether we may retain them. I do not follow the politics aspect of this, but what I know is that indeed we may, if we are convinced that these people are a danger to this country, nothing stops the Republic of Ghana as a sovereign country among nations to take steps. But on the other side, the question that comes up
before you go to the other side, help me here. The president of Ghana did a deal on the state's behalf. Internationally, does it not hold? Because I mean, we've entrusted our power into him. He goes and says, look, give me these two guys, I'll integrate them into the system. Can we say, look, forget about what the president said, we are sending them back? Is it not law? Does it not hold internationally?
That's exactly where I was going. So this agreement is between Ghana and another country or the international community. Now, I can say that there are about three international institutions involved in this transaction. We have the United States of America, and then we have the Yemeni, the country Yemen, whose citizens are these guys, and then we have the United Nations, which has created a regime called refugee, regime for such persons. Now, sometimes I fear for this country, and I fear for this country because we are not responding to what is happening in the world. The world is becoming smaller every day, and we need to look outward instead of just fixating ourselves within our domestic laws and deciding that we are going to do things purely based on our laws. Like you have asked, these other countries are involved. We have entered into an agreement with them. The question then is, can we just sit in Ghana and pretend that our law is supreme all over the world, so we do what we want to do? Obviously not. That is why I particularly I was impressed with some of the judges who sat on the case and some of the points they raised. Now, going forward, where do you take them? That is the question. Where do you take them? Do you have what it takes to take these people somewhere? These are the questions that we should. But in all, I think we should be careful the way we describe people. They are not just they are human beings. They have rights under international law. They have rights under our own laws. Now that we know they are refugees, and I think that we should be measured in some of the pronouncements we make in their respect.
Okay, Justice, thank you very much. Let me come to studio. Security, maybe we are blowing over the top.
Absolutely not. I think I don't agree with him on many of the fronts, even though he's a lawyer and he knows it. He's talking about the international law aspect, which is very correct. I mean, you can't just sit down here and do anything and we believe that just send them away. I've never said that. And secondly, when we talk about the very fact that they are a threat, they are a threat. Because even this discussion we are having and people are on the left or on the right and that kind of thing, is part of the security threat. I gave you a mundane one, kind of. But the coming to the on a more serious note, if you say they have rights, don't we in Ghana also have rights? I think we do have our rights. So why would somebody's rights override ours in the first place? Why should somebody be brought in?
But the rights are normally in the favor of the underdog.
Call it whatever is favor of them. But I am an underdog now somehow. But what I'm trying to drive at is that before they brought in the triad this thing that Yemen is involved, which is true. Ghana is involved, and the UN is involved as an international body. Before the UN was brought in, the US and Ghana entered into a certain agreement. And Ghana decided that they would do something which brings the UN in. And they did. They did at the blind side of Ghanaians. That's what we're talking about. The Yemenis come in only when if we try to mistreat them over here, Yemen can call us to order. The UN can call us to order.
Can
they? Yes, they can. They are citizens of Yemen, and we can't mistreat them over here. That's the rights that he's talking about. They are Yemeni citizens first and foremost.
Let me see. Number one,
yes,
we are saying that it's not safe to send them to Yemen.
That's true.
But then if they get mistreated here,
they are citizens of Yemen. They still are, unless their citizenship has been completely waived off and they are Ghanaian citizens, to integrate somebody.
But if Yemeni can come in, then why won't Yemeni come for them?
It's because of the situation over there, that you can't come for them, or you can't send them there, or I mean, you can't force them to go back to Yemen. But coming again, the discussions that are going on is to make sure that in future our governments do the right thing. You ask a very legitimate question. Can't our head of state just go in and just do something because we've given you our mandate? Kind of sovereignty has been given to the head of state. All right. But wait a minute. And that is why we are not a monist country. A monist country, especially the French-speaking countries, most of them are monist. The president goes, signs agreement, and that's law. In our case, it has to be ratified by government. Whilst we are ratifying, as the first lawyer said, we've heard information. The public doesn't know. Today, foreign policy is public. And I'll quote Kissinger when he says that foreign policy, no matter how ingenious and fruitful, if it is made by few minds and not disseminated into many hearts, is useless. That's where we are.
Let me take a quick break and come back and find out. Because most of the information was kept because, there's a matter of national security, Well, until they went to court and they thought, look, what's so serious about this national security implementation? Let the information now. Let's go back and find out. Is it really sensitive issue that should be kept out of public space? Don't go. Subject matter for discussion, Gitmo 2, now Gitmo refugees. There was no exit plan. They have here to stay. But all the beginning of this issue, the issue was that it was national security. It was too sensitive, can't be disclosed, until Supreme Court says, look, it's enough of all this national security business. Tell us what's happening. And even yesterday on, I think, Newsnight, still, people were saying, look, I'm surprised this issue is being discussed in the open. It's too sensitive. Doc, how sensitive is it? How much information can be shared and how much should be withheld?
Well, the point is, when you put your thumb on a cork underwater, when your hand is tired. So, you see, as I was saying, diplomacy is now more public. Why? Because of globalization. Because any little thing you do, even coughing, if you just cough out there, somebody sneezes out there. So when you're doing these things, you've got to be very careful. Yes, there are security implications, and therefore you might hide some of them in that thing, but you've got to be very careful that everything you're doing would not bring about the bigger problem of insecurity. In this case, it's a straightforward thing. Should we go for Gitmo or not? Could have been discussed in Ghana, and you test the public pulse, just like Kissinger had said. Look, Vietnam was not popular, and that was why Americans could not send regulars, and they lost the war, bringing a lot of security implications on the Americans. So today, these things can be easily, because it's a situation where we don't lose anything if we don't bring them. And if we are going to get anything if we brought them, then we would all have discussed.
Are you sure no money exchange hands back door that we don't have? There's so many things that have been disclosed.
Anecdotal evidence or what Fox News brought to us was said that the government was paid $273 million. Wow. But the government had denied that. I think there was a denial somewhere in 2016. And Fox was touted as a rightist kind of news and that kind of thing. But well, whether that money was paid or not is not the matter. But why didn't we take anything which we cannot tell Ghanaians? That the Gitmo 2 brought us this positive. This is the negative. Let's work with it. That is what is mind-boggling. We are told we got nothing, compassionate grounds. Now people are saying the government of the day can fix it. I'm saying it must be a bipartisan approach. Let's stop politicizing. We did it when you were in power, you were against it, and so fix it. I hate it. I hate to hear that thing. How did you do it? You did it clandestinely. It has brought some fix. We are now tight, whether NDC or MPP or CPP, our hands are now tied to Gitmo. They are going to be part of us. They're going to stay here until they do something untoward against the laws of our land. We can't send them away anywhere. That is where we are now. We are at a fix. Where do we go from here? So they should stop this partisan approach, especially from the opposition now, telling them that the government had an opportunity when the Supreme Court ruled. When the Supreme Court ruled, like our lawyer friend had said, our hand had been tied already. They couldn't have sent them. And then my little friend and brother, Honorable Ablako Okucheto, is saying they had a second chance when the time expired that the government could have sent them. Worse, because when their time expired, if you go back to the agreement, you couldn't send them because they are no longer Gitmo exchange or Gitmo gifts, but they are now refugees in Ghana. So now the only barometer for measuring them will be international law on refugees. Do we have the right now to send them anywhere we want? No, we can't. So there must be a bipartisan approach. Now we all have to think of it as Ghanaians. So
Doc, what does it mean? Does it mean every week we go and give them some cash, some bread, some water?
Now your tax, it is your tax and my tax. Is that the taxpayers' money has to be used in looking after them until they are well integrated into the Ghanaian society and they can get jobs to do. And maybe, but I don't know what the government, whatever it is on it. But now, when the Americans brought them and we gave them refugee status, I believe, by simple calculations and law, America ceased to be involved in anything. And we have been looking after them until now. The sort of thing they are getting, am I getting a quarter of it as a Ghanaian citizen? Am I getting it? And then my tax is being used to look after him. These are the things we have a right to discuss. So I don't agree with my friend who says that we should be very careful. Careful about what? My tax is going somewhere. He said I shouldn't talk.
Sentiments. We normally discuss issues with sentiments rather than practicalities. With this issue, are sentiments being drawn more into it rather than the practicality? Politics and sentiments are being more than the actuality?
You are right. Everything is politicized in Ghana. So depending on where you stand. And I have stood with facts. If I don't have the facts, so be it. I may be wrong in what I say. Right now, the facts are coming gradually, and now I can decipher and be able to talk. But many more people are standing against the NPP, NDC dichotomy. That is sentimental. That's a little sentimental. And that's what I'm saying. We don't have to go that way anymore. Let the facts come out. Let us know where we stand now. Where are we? Some people were bashing the foreign minister, and I heard a lot on radio today. And I was like, these people are talking again with ignorance. Because if we knew all these facts in 2016, the trajectory would have been different, completely. And even the man who took the case to court would have had some different approach to the case completely. I strongly suspect that he would have questioned even the legitimacy of this refugee status. And maybe the Supreme Court would have looked at that. How can they be brought in illegitimately and then we give them refugee status when they are illegitimate at that point? And I thought the Supreme Court ruling would have been a little different. So the discussion must be based on facts. Let this government throw out all the facts that there are here. Let us discuss these things dispassionately. I strongly suspect that, left to me, they shouldn't have been here. But they are here. I have no choice but to accept that they are here. Where do we go from here?
Doc, let me catch a couple of messages and find out where we go from here. Walanyo Akwetia from Walanyo in Akwetia. He's right, but my question is, what convinced John Dramani Mahama in the first place to accept these Guantanamo guys here? Couldn't he have just rejected that request by the USA? Or he accepted it just because a huge offer was promised? Our political leaders must come clean on this matter to settle the controversy once and for all. Sunyani Imran Al-Hassan. It's not, Suhini Imran Al-Hassan. It's not for nothing that Ghana is being touted as a home of hospitality. As far as the continuous stay of the Gitmo 2 does not in any way affect the security of the country, as has been for the past 2 years, I believe we are safe living with them. No, going forward.
Well, I suspect that the parliament should discuss this dispassionately and find a very amicable way of telling Ghanaians what they should tell us. And the government must be discreet. I mean, the government should not rush into tirades with the opposition. They should know where we faulted. It must be clean and clear. We have faulted. Where we are must be told Ghanaians, because people are fighting already at radio stations, and people may be boxing themselves elsewhere because of positions they hold, depending on where they come from. But if they know the facts, that where we are now, they are refugees. Remove the tag even Gitmo anymore. They are Atef and Duobi or whatever it is. It's close to Atuobi. Maybe you can give them a Ghanaian name. They are here to stay because of their refugee status, and that the laws binding them and us is nothing but international law on refugees.
Wow, I always give you this number before I go. It's 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. Tantees Fashions. They make my shirts that I wear on the show. Indeed, very nice, very colorful. You see, Doc has one, so you need to get one too. Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again, but I'm inviting you all on Sunday to Accra Presby, where I'll be speaking to the youth on empowering their potential. So Accra this Sunday at Presby, be there. And Doc, thank you very much.